YouTube, what is going on? It is Sands coming at you guys with the Xbox One and PlayStation 4 discussion for you guys. So wanted to share at least my insight into it now that E3 has passed, and now that we know a little bit more into what we can expect as far as specs, and also the whole controversy kind of surrounding the Microsoft debacle and the huge hole that they've dug themselves into. And also, of course, wanted to share with you guys what will I be doing here once the console's launched. So there's I guess I wanted to touch this off by saying that obviously these are the next generation consoles. So what does that mean from a game developer standpoint? So typically it means that the console will last about 10 years. So I know that that sounds like a really, really long time, and 10 years is definitely an extremely long time. I remember when the Xbox 360 was first launched, a lot of people were kind of like, 10 years for a console does not really seem, logical, but here we are. So I guess it makes sense now that they're phasing it out. It doesn't necessarily seem too old. So with that in mind, is what they actually have really going to live up to a 10-year cycle? And I got to be honest with you. I'm not much of a hardware guy at this point. Obviously, the software they'll be able to update, and I have faith in them that they'll be able to. They know what they're doing with the specs. So we're really not going to get into too much of the detail with that. You guys have probably seen the spec sheets. They're pretty much identical. Sony is able to do a little bit more once you get down to the nitty gritty as far as like teraflops per second or all these other crazy calculations. And I'm not a hardware genius by any means. So if you guys want to explore that realm, feel free to do so at your own leisure, because that's not my element. Now a couple of other things I did want to at least cite real quick is that obviously both of them are Blu-ray, and both of them do require some sort of a fee for you to play online. So with Xbox, obviously you're going to have that Xbox Live membership, and I'm just going by the yearly cost, and it looks like it's going to be about $60 per year. Now there's been like some speculation that Microsoft may raise the cost a little bit, so who knows what they're going to do with that. Of course, that's subject to change. Now, another thing that Microsoft has been known to do is that if you elect to do like an automatic renewal, they'll give you a little bit of a discount sometimes. So that may be something that they end up doing. Now, for PlayStation, they look like they're going to be coming in at about $50 per year. But of course, that's also just speculation right now. I don't know that they formally announced that, or if they'll have some sort of introductory price to get maybe new players that are brand new, to the whole PlayStation family to migrate over and to help out. I guess not help out, but to encourage them to jump ship. Now, one other thing that I did find interesting, being that obviously one thing that people are citing that they are interested in buying this for is that it has the Blu-ray player. So it looks like the Sony Blu-ray player is actually going to be region free. The Xbox One is not going to be region free, so it's going to be locked on to North America, or I guess if you're in Europe, then whatever that is. I think that's region 2. I want to say off the top of my head. I don't recall at this point, but that's actually kind of a big deal for me. So part of the reason why is that is my wife is Japanese, so sometimes we watch DVDs or videos from Japan. And sometimes, there might be like a video game from Japan that I want to play. So that's actually kind of like a major selling point for me. Like, I actually have a DVD player that I unlocked when I was in Japan. I lived over there for a few years. Not trying to go off on a tangent or whatever, but I keep it around strictly so that I can play DVDs from Japan for that reason. So that's one thing that you guys might want to just keep a tab on. Now, also with that, there's a ton of games that are released in Japan that never make their way over here to the States. So it's kind of one of those things that that is you may just want to keep your finger on the pulse a little bit about that, because that's kind of an interesting development. Now both systems are 7.1 surround sound, so there's no really big surprises there. Obviously the RAM setup, 8 gigs of RAM. I thought that they might go with a little bit more just to be able to push the games a little bit farther, at least for the coming years. But hey, it is what it is. Now, for the whole Xbox having to be constantly on thing, I'm not a big proponent of that. I don't like companies telling me what I can and can't do with a product that I've purchased. So my whole mentality is pretty much if I've bought something, then I own it, and I don't understand how a company can tell me what I can do with a product that I own. So for Microsoft to basically tell me that I have to have my Xbox on and I have to sign into Xbox or to Xbox Live at least once every 24 hours to have my account validated makes absolutely no sense to me, and I don't agree with that policy whatsoever. I think that it's a violation of my privacy, and I also think that it's just a bullshit rule. Now, I think that one of the main reasons why, obviously, is for their whole game validation system. So, as we all know now, right, what's come to light is that they want to charge you to basically play used games or a friend's game if you want to borrow a game or something like that. Sony had that pretty funny commercial where they were saying, this is how you trade or share a video game, on the PlayStation. So if you guys haven't seen that, you'll definitely want to go check that out because I was dying laughing. That shit was hilarious. But I mean, it's definitely a good point. If the way that I relate to it or the way that I look at it is, for example, like if I buy a Microsoft controller or a controller in general, should I then be obligated to have to pay in order to use the controller? So that's kind of like how it seems to me. I've already paid for the video game, so why should I have to pay again in order to play something that I already own? So it seems very wrong to me on several levels, and it seems to me like a company is basically just trying to take advantage of consumers and basically screw people over. So I'm not a big fan of it. I think that it's a BS policy. It's obviously Microsoft, I think, trying to improve their profit margins and capitalize on people that way. And I don't respect that at all. I think it's a poor business model and a poor decision. And again, like I'm saying, Microsoft has an opportunity now to backtrack and say, okay, wait, we're going to change how we conduct business. And obviously they've received a ton of negative publicity. So if they want to do some damage control, now is going to be the time for them to do that damage control and maybe try and spin this somehow so that their company is looked at as an innovator and not as a bully, which is kind of what they've been looked at over the last couple of years. Now, with that being said, I think you guys already kind of know the direction that I'm heading. So for me, with me playing on Xbox, the big draw for me, obviously, again, all my friends are on Xbox currently. But the funny thing is that with a lot of the guys that I've talked to and a lot of my friends that play on Xbox, there's several of them that I know that are migrating over to PlayStation. So I don't know that it's going to be that big of a loss for me to actually migrate to PlayStation. And I actually have a lot of friends that play on PlayStation, so it'll be fun for me to reconnect with them because I haven't, I don't game with them right now because they're all on PlayStation. So for me, I am going to, at least as it stands now, migrate over to PlayStation. Also, of course, it's cheaper. It's $100 cheaper for me to pick up a PlayStation instead. So that's the direction that I'm going to head. Obviously, the competition on the Xbox for competitive gaming far exceeds that of the PlayStation right now. There's no denying that. So there is that aspect of it. If you're really into the competitive scene, then obviously you're really going to want to stick with Xbox. But there and again, there's some give and take and some trade. Now the other portion of this is that if you're like me and you game on a monitor, I don't have anywhere to put like a giant fucking Kinect bar and I have it calibrate because I have my monitor relatively close to where I sit. So that's kind of like another one of the drawbacks or another one of the areas where I would not have any place to put a Kinect, or I don't know what I would do with a Kinect bar or where I could put it where it would be able to calibrate my movements or do anything else. Now, of course, the other thing that I don't like is the idea of having like a camera constantly on in my room. Obviously, there's that huge NSA surveillance scandal that just happened. Microsoft was one of the major partners that was giving the NSA data right from the beginning. And obviously it's in the interest of national security. I'm all for national security, but I'm not for having like a giant camera broadcasting like my movements and the opportunity for the United States government or whoever to check on me in my living room. So so that's kind of creepy to me. Whatever. I guess I could tape over the connect bar if I wanted, and maybe that's not such a such a creepy or big deal to you guys, but for me at least that's the direction that I'm headed. So I figured I'd share my opinions, and hopefully that sheds some insight. So go ahead and post some comments below. Let's have a little discussion on this. Share your thoughts, share your feelings, and I'm interested to hear what you guys have to say on the matter and whether or not you'll be heading the Xbox One way or the PlayStation 4 way. Again, this is Sans. Thanks for watching.